Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to Asian Filmist. My name is Ray and I love movies. And the movie that we'll be talking about today is the 2017 film Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, Part 1. I know it's a mouthful. And it's directed by Miike Takashi, who seems to be the director for hire when it comes to making adaptations of anime manga. Some are okay and some are bad. You know, it's kind of hard to be excited about an adaptation directed by Miike nowadays. But JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the original manga was written by Araki Hirohiko. And as with any Miike Takashi movie, he brings forth a whole lot of big names in Japanese cinema today. Leading the cast of JoJo Bizarre Adventure is Yamazaki Kento, who's known to be one of the big heartthrob actors nowadays. JoJo also features the likes of Issei Yusuke, Kamiki Ryunosuke, Arata Makenyu, who else there? Komatsu Nana, Okada Masaki, and Yamada Takayuki. And this movie covers Diamond is Unbreakable, which is the fourth major arc in the long-running JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga. And as I mentioned earlier when I said the title, this is a part 1. We don't really know when part 2 is scheduled to come out, but hopefully it'll be sometime soon. And so the story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it focuses on this high school student by the name of Higashikata Josuke, who's a titular JoJo. And Josuke is not your typical high school student. Not only does he sport a really loud hairstyle, which he takes a lot of pride in, he is also a user of a stand. A stand is essentially a superpower, and it's kind of like an avatar, a spiritual representation of the user's power. Each stand in the world of JoJo has a unique name and a unique special power. Josuke's stand's name is Crazy Diamond, and its special ability, other than kicking ass, it can repair damaged or broken items or animals. And the basic plots are really simple. Essentially, Josuke and his friends get involved with bad guy stand users who threaten the lives of his family. And not only that, but they also threaten the lives and the safety of the many citizens living in their city. So obviously what you can expect from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a lot of fighting, a lot of cool superpowers getting tossed left and right. So let's see how this movie lived up to the original story. I myself, admittedly, I haven't read the entire manga to where it is right now. I've read the first 3 story arcs that were in the story, but the 4th one, it's a new story and a new experience for me. And so that being said, let's talk about the things I enjoyed about this live action adaptation. First of all, one thing I have to appreciate about any of Miike Takashi's anime adaptations is that the costumes look like they've been lifted straight from the pages of the original source. For example, if you look at some of Miike's other adaptations like Ace Attorney or Terraformers, as bad as that movie was, the costumes were really legit and they were made with a lot of care. And I really dug the overall casting. All the actors did really well in representing their characters, and with their performances really standing out. For me, the biggest standout was Yamazaki Kento, the lead actor. In the sense because I didn't really expect him to pull off the performance that he did. I'm used to him being the kind of pretty faced dude you see in many shoujo manga adaptations, but I thought he did really well in portraying the character that is Josuke. And not only the costumes, but also the stands, the way they were designed, they look really accurate when you compare them to the original source. Although I'm still kind of iffy on the quality of CG used to animate the stands, but overall the way they were used in the story, the way they moved, it was alright. And in the CG and the special effects used to enhance the fight sequences, it was good. And of course you can expect to hear a lot of and the movie is loaded with moments that really screamed badassery as what you can hope and expect from a JoJo adaptation. I mean, when Yamazaki scowls and just punches through things, you just couldn't help but feel pumped. And from what I understand, the story of the movie followed the story of the original manga relatively well, despite taking out huge chunks of the original story. You know, that's something that you really can't escape when you adapt a really long manga arc into a 2-hour movie. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff that gets taken out and replaced and changed around. But you know, as someone who hasn't read the original story, I thought the story that they presented to us in the movie fit relatively well. Like, for the most part, it made sense from beginning to end, and I really didn't know what was taken out, to be honest. Although undoubtedly fans of the original manga will probably have a lot to say about the stuff that's missing from this movie. But yeah, the fight sequences, the special effects, the visuals, everything is hype. You know, it's the stuff that you can expect from the good parts of any good Miike Takashi movie. Now let's talk about the negatives I have to say about Jojo. First of all, some of the characters didn't really contribute really anything to the story. It seemed like they were kind of thrown in there as just to fulfill the quota, to make sure enough characters from the original manga were included. But given that this is only a part 1, you can tell there was just a lot of setup, a lot of building up to what is going to eventually be the climax. But if you were to take this movie as a standalone experience, you just can't help but look at those characters and just think, you know, why were they in the story in the first place? They really didn't do anything. I mean, if you read the original manga, you know what's eventually going to happen with them. But if you haven't read the manga, you'd be confused as to why they were included in the first place or why they're even important to the story. And that being said, there was a lot of information that was omitted. Information that would have possibly made everything that was happening in the story make much more sense. But as I said earlier, we only have 2 hours to make this movie work. And as I said, the fighting sequences are really cool, but then when the story slowed down, it really slowed down. And this movie, well, not only this movie, but also the original manga, it's guilty of exploiting the trope that we see in many manga involving fighting, involving action, and that is exposition, where they just explain how their special attack works to not only the villain but also to us as the audience. Like, it's a lot more talking than showing. You know, there's a lot of ways you can explain a superpower or a special technique of a character without having to actually say it. Like, I understand it's something that is just going to be in manga and anime forever. Like, this is my special move, it allows me to do this. But I think after a while it just gets kind of old. The trope just needs to be tossed out the window and kind of retold in a more clever fashion. But you know, all that being said, overall, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it was good. As to what I understand, it follows the original story quite well, and it's definitely a lot better than Miike's other manga adaptation from last year, Terraformers. Yeah, it's not that hard to do, but it just needed to be pointed out that this is a lot better than Terraformers. And it's very stylish and there's a lot of cool visuals. However, it is a steep learning curve if you don't know anything about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, any of the story arcs. And that is because they don't really do a good job of explaining the rules or the characters of how everything works in this world. So I'd say this movie caters more towards the fans of the original manga rather than trying to attract a new kind of audience. But yeah, there are pros and cons of doing either method, but yeah, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure's case, it decided to target the fans of the original source. But do I recommend this movie? Yeah, most definitely, especially if you're a fan of anime and manga stories that include fighting and that involve a lot of cool special techniques with a lot of talking and explaining what's happening. But was this the best adaptation of a fighting anime? No, it wasn't, but it was still enjoyable nonetheless, and I think everyone can find something to enjoy about this movie. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond Unbreakable Part 1. What did you guys think? Or what kind of questions did you guys have? Let us know in the comments below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at RayMaru555, and if you liked what you watched, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can join in more discussions about Asian films. Take it easy guys, see you next time.
獲物は確かにいただいたぜ。